what you thought you knew from the shed of dreams, the Leake in Review.
And just like that, we're back. Another episode of the Leake in Review. First of all, thank you for all the shares, all the comments. Last week's show with Kelly Jones of Stereophonics, who are on tour right now. If you want to go check them out, you should. Absolutely incredible. The reviews are great, but the response worldwide to that conversation, it was really nice to see. And I thank everybody for all the love and all the shares. Today's show features someone equally important as Kelly in the rock and roll world, Cone from the rock and roll outfit known as Sum 41, who just did their farewell tour. But they have one more show to go, and that goes down this weekend as they are inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame at the Juno Awards going on in Vancouver. So we chat with Cone. They say this is the last show ever. I say, let's talk to each other in 5 years and see if that's still the case, because I think all bands eventually come back. Speaking of which, Kiss just announced they're doing their 50th anniversary show. After they said no more shows by Kiss, we did the final tour ever like 2 years ago. They're going to do a 50th anniversary, which, hey, did you think that Gene Simmons was going to sit around and not take the check? There's a new album coming out, Magic Power, a all-star tribute to the Canadian rock and roll band Triumph. Sebastian Bach is on this. Dee Snider, remember him from Twisted Sister? And Slash will be taking part. They're all set to pay tribute to a rock and roll band that I guess is dear to their hearts in Triumph. And if you didn't hear it yet, new music just dropped from the Black Keys. Black Keys last year canceled their entire world tour. I think they've got rid of most of the people that work with them. There was some trouble a-brewing in the Black Keys world. They have a big world tour this year. All the dates have been re-announced, and unlike last time, they're still available. It looks like the tour is still going, because I think last time the tour got taken down after like a week or two. Black Keys, new music. Go see that show. Of course, Black Keys are going to be good for you. Cone from Sum 41, still to come.
Where there's a heartbeat and a stage, there's an artist set to perform. This is the Leake in Review on tour.
Brought to you by the Pecan Agency, connecting bands with fans worldwide. Oh man, big tours out there right now. AC/DC on the road. Look for them in Toronto on April 10th, the 15th in Chicago, and 20th in Denver, Colorado. Linkin Park, new lead singer, bunch of dates. April 12th, New York City. Atlanta on the 18th. Dallas, April 25th. And Green Day, they continue to ramble on. Look for them in LA on the 8th of April, Seattle on the 14th, and 22nd in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Hi, my name is Kim Stockwood. I am a proud Newfoundlander and a Canadian singer-songwriter. In a landscape where many lack access to health benefits or employee assistance programs, the Unison Fund serves as a lifeline of hope for musicians and music industry professionals facing medical emergencies or mental health challenges. To learn more about Unison and their programs, please visit unisonfund.ca.
Hello, I'm Cone from Sum 41. You're listening to the Leake in Review. How are you feeling yesterday?
Well, I did good because I left very early. Early in the rock and roll world, we'll say. The Uberman says I was out of there at, I was home by 12:30. How about yourself?
4:30.
You used to live out in the Ajax area, right?
I live in Durham. I'm in Pickering.
So every event for you is an extra 30 minutes, guaranteed.
Yeah, but the train's cool. I take the GO train quite often because there's no traffic on the GO train. GO train, I can get to Union Station in 25 minutes.
It's funny because I live in the Beaches, and I will take the GO train from Danforth Station, which is a block or two the opposite way of downtown, just so I can be downtown guaranteed in like 10 minutes time.
What's funny I've talked about this with many people like this, me living out in Pickering. When I lived in Toronto, I lived like at St. Clair and Christie, and it would take me, like, for example, if I went to like Ian, so I hang out with Ian from Billy Talent quite often. He's a great friend of mine. It would take me like 40 minutes to get to his house. It's quicker to get to his house now in living in Pickering than it is coming across the city of Toronto, because Toronto's so brutal for traffic.
It's tough times. It used to be, like, not so long ago, it used to be about a 10-minute Uber ride for me to get to the arena. And now you're lucky to get there within 40 minutes. So whatever. We could talk about traffic all day long. And I know that's probably what a lot of people want us to talk about. But Cone, thank you for joining the program. As mentioned, maybe we were out a little bit later the other day, which I appreciate about you, Cone. You go to a lot of shows. You and Ian from Billy Talent. I see you guys everywhere. I think that's like a critical thing for bands to do if they can. See what other bands are doing. See what their stage looks like. See how they're doing it. I mean, as much as you've got 25 years experience underneath your belt, it doesn't mean that there's, a different way to approach it when you're taking the stage.
No, yeah, it's true. And I've always kind of gone to shows a lot when I'm home. And it's funny because a lot of bands, like we saw the Refuse the other night, a lot of bands are doing farewell tours because we're not young anymore. And a lot of bands are just hanging up. So it's kind of weird to be seeing, like, the Refuse aren't that old. Like, we're not that old.
Sum 41 is not that old. Billy Talent is not that old.
So it's funny to see these bands kind of doing like farewell tours. But I think it's just one of those things. Like, that's how I grew up. I grew up going to concerts. And the fact that I'm in a band myself doesn't mean that I want to stop going to concerts. I like you said, I think I want to, like, see what other bands are doing all the time. But I'm just also a fan of music. Like, I love music. It's been my life. So I want to go see everything that I want to see.
So the other night when we ran into each other, you said something probably regrettably to me in the evening where I said, hey, yeah, you're going into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. And you're like, I can't believe that we're going in and such an artist is not. And then I said, well, we got to talk about it on the air. And you were nice enough to say yes. And then I followed up with, so you're going to join the program? So here we are. I want to talk about going into the Hall of Fame because congratulations, first of all. It's an honor for sure that is so well deserved by you, for you guys, because of just everything that Sum 41 has done over the years. But I want to know quickly, that final tour, which I don't believe is final, I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not Sum 41 ever comes back around again, because it seems that the Eagles had the farewell tours for 35 years. So I'm just suspect. But how was that wrapping up the tour with Sum 41?
Yeah, it was, it was a long one. We were out 200 days last year. We started in Asia in last February. So, at the beginning of that tour in Asia in February, it just seemed like another Sum 41 tour, because I looked at the dates ahead and I was like, it's like 150 shows that we're going to do or something like that. So as it got nearing the end, like as we had a little bit of a break before the Canadian tour, and we're going to do 3 weeks in Canada. That's when it kind of started feeling real for me. But it was like a lot of fun. The good thing is, like, our band are all, like, we're all tight still. Like, we all have separate lives. We all have kids. We're all married. But when we get together on tour and we're in the same bus, like, it's kind of like old times. And we reminisce on stories. That was another cool thing. We would sit in the bus sometimes and just, like, reminisce on stories. And we never used to do that. But I think it kind of, like, pulled it out of us that it was the last tour. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. We all are still good friends and we all get along really well. So that was definitely a plus for me, that we were all still on good terms, and shows were great. And, it was probably the biggest tour we've ever done in our career. Even bigger. I think it was bigger and better than it was when we kind of broke with Fat Lip and In Too Deep. And we played some good shows back then, but this one was probably more memorable.
Definitely longer on stage as well. One, you have the catalog compared to 2001 and 2002. Not as much catalog there, but you guys were playing like 2+ hours, 2.5 hours a night as towards the end of this tour. I mean, you basically doubled down on shows just because of the length of your program every single night. So the amount of, you might say, yeah, we were out on the road for 200 days or something like that. But the hours on stage definitely surpasses what most people would do during the same time period. Were you guys like going into it every day and going, man, we can change up this set and we're going to add another 6-minute long Metallica song? Or was it kind of set for the most part because you didn't want to get burnt alive by all the pyro?
It's funny, like we did some countries. This is the weird thing about, strange thing about music is we'll play some songs, say in like Germany, and they go, everyone loves them, and everyone's like, wow, that song is really big in Germany. And then we'll go to Kansas City. We'll play the same song, and everyone's like, what is this song?
Where does this come from?
Yeah, so it's almost like country to country we had to alter the set, but there's also, there's obviously the staples. You're going to play the bigger songs all the time, but it's like kind of those like songs that we wanted to fill the gaps in with, that we thought sometimes were crowd favorites, but some crowds, it was not their favorite. So we would alter the set that way.
That's got to be a tough thing for an artist, whether you're Sum 41 or you're just a brand new artist that's going to take the stage for the first time. You have some of your favorite songs in your back pocket and you go out and play your whole set and you're like, why didn't anybody react to the song that I really liked? Instead, they picked the one that was a throwaway song. And, I want to play my favorites, but it's a business and you got to come forward with the big ones.
The other thing is, like, it's funny because, like you said, a lot of times we play over 2 hours and we'd still get the messages saying, why didn't you play this song? I wish you would have played this song like for over 2 hours. If you're not happy with that, then I don't know what to tell you.
It's one of the reasons why I won't go see Bruce Springsteen, because I don't have 3.5 hours in me to go watch a concert that long. Even Guns N' Roses, when they came back together, our mutual friend, Joel Carrier, we were out and we saw them in New York. And towards the end, it's like, we've been standing here for 2.5 hours. I don't think I can make another 8-minute long song from Guns N' Roses, as much as it was going to be Paradise City and it was going to be the banger, but we bailed. You got to be mindful of people still got lives, right? They're going to work tomorrow. They've got the babysitter at home. All these weird things that you did not give a shit about when you were first breaking onto the scene just in 2000 and 2001.
I firmly believe that a show should not really be over 2 hours. And we teetered around 2 hours, but like, even when I go see a show, I don't care who it is. I went and saw the Stones. They played like 1:50 and I thought I was happy. That was enough. And that's the Rolling Stones and they've been around forever. But I don't really want to see a show over 2 hours. That's just me.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, you're going into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. You made the comment to me about an artist who you were surprised that is not currently in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. I don't know if you're just doing jokes or whatever it is, but I made a list of some artists that I think should be alongside of you in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. And you say yay or nay, or just walk away from it. Starting off with something that I think would be dear to a lot of bands that influenced you. This band probably, maybe not, but Anvil. The metal band that influenced Metallica is first on the list that comes to my mind. And I know you guys play a lot of Metallica over the years. Should Anvil go into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame?
Yeah, like I feel like Anvil was integral part to Canadian metal. And like you say, they're obviously influenced even like the Bay Area thrash metal scene. So yeah, I mean, in that regard, definitely. I mean, they didn't have the hit records and they never had the massive arena tours across Canada, but I think just as an influential part of metal, especially in Canada, I'd say yeah.
Avril Lavigne.
When she came out just after us, I think she was a big part of females getting into rock music, especially like the pop punk or even pop rock genre of music. I think for like a young girl watching Avril do that back then made more girls and women realize they could do it too. And I think that was a big thing. And she's also sold like 40 million records.
My last count was 50 million, and Skinny Ties too has got to be in the millions thanks to Avril Lavigne and her push. I've got a country artist by the name of Paul Brandt. I just know his philanthropic work has been pretty huge. Gord Downie is not in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. The Tragically Hip are, but I think he on his own merit alone could be someone who should be going in. Your thoughts, Cone?
I'm shocked actually he's not, but I know the Hip are. But it's kind of like the same as the Guess Who. I believe the Guess Who is in it and Burton Cummings is in it by himself. So I think if they're doing that, then they got to do Gord for sure, 100%. I think, like you said, like even the charitable work alone, what he stood for, what kind of a person he was, and just a hell of a front man too. So yeah, I would put him in just as him as well. I agree.
You bring up the Guess Who, and you mentioned Burton Cummings is in it solo as the Guess Who is in as a band, but Randy Bachman is not in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. Does he fall in as well, taking care of business? You ain't seen nothing yet, and still touring today. And if it wasn't for the riffs that they put in for American Woman, man, the money that they made when Lenny Kravitz covered that track for that band, they're doing okay. I'm just surprised that we don't see Randy Bachman in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame yet.
Yeah, I'm shocked at that one too, actually. I thought he was in it, but if you're telling me he's not, then he's not. But 100%. I mean, BTO and the Guess Who, and he tours solo. Yeah, for sure. He's got to be in it. I mean, that's crazy that he's not.
Have you seen Burton Cummings at all in the last, say, 5-10 years?
Yeah, I saw actually Bachman Cummings at the amphitheater.
I can't believe that he still has the vocals. Like, he still has the range. It's unbelievable for Burton to pull that off. Last one I have on my list, a producer who you may or may not know, Joey Moy. Grew up in like Whitehorse, started working on Nickelback albums in 2001, crossed over into the country world. He's worked with Hardy, he's worked with Morgan Wallen, Dallas Smith, on and on and on. There's a lot of producers who are not in the Hall of Fame just yet, and I think he should be one that gets added to that list as well.
I don't know him, to be honest. I mean, with that kind of resume.
I just think that there's a lot of producers out there that probably should be in the Hall of Fame that kind of get left behind for some reason. I mean, you guys record an album yourselves, and then the producer gets a day and a half or two with the song. They punch it into a different stratosphere, and everyone goes, "Oh, that's why we hired this person." Yeah, I get it.
I think producers kind of get overlooked in that way. You go look at some of like the most classic records ever made, even by like the Beatles or Metallica's Black Album. Like all these big albums that have sold 50 million, or they keep selling. You always, if you go look at who produced those records, it's always kind of someone big, and you always wonder, like, would that record be the same if they didn't have that guy, basically the other member of the band for those months of recording. In Metallica's case, Bob Rock, 2.5 years on the Black Album. So yeah, I feel like producers get really, really overlooked, and people always think about like the band made this classic record. It's like, well, the band made it with this other guy. Would it be as good without him? And you never know, but I don't think so.
What was the longest Sum 41 spent in the studio? We talk about the Black Album. It took 2.5 years or so. What was the longest that Sum 41 was in the studio compared to, say, the last album?
We did the last album was recorded during the pandemic, so it was kind of like over the course of 2 years, but we weren't in the studio together. I feel like we did an album that maybe no one knows about called Screaming Bloody Murder. Came out in 2011, but we actually rented a house out in Hollywood, and we were there for about a year, maybe even more, off and on, but the house was kind of rented for that time. Spent a lot of money on the album, way too much money. We got dropped after that album from a record label, probably because we spent too much money, and it didn't sell. So that one probably was the longest for sure. Imagine
just recording again and again and again for over a year. How technology has changed so much in that time period. Like 15 years ago, there's been a lot of advancements where a little bit easier, heaven and hell, a little bit easier to do. Thank you, technology. Okay, Cone. This Sunday, you are going into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. You're going to do a set. I'm guessing you have about 8 minutes.
4.5 minutes.
That's the total running time of all albums together. Nice, short, quick pop punk songs. How many songs are you going to medley into this 4.5 minutes? Because that's kind of like the traditional thing to do, right?
Yeah, it was hard to figure it out. It's cool. Like, I know we did it. I think we did it well. I think people will like it, but it was really difficult because there's definitely some songs that we're not playing that were some of our biggest songs of our career, and we can't do it. So I can't give it away obviously, but I think it's cool and I think people will like it. But we were like, even we were begging for like, give us 30 seconds more. Like, can't do it.
So when
they have their running time.
Nickelback got into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, and I was talking to those guys before the set, and they were basically shitting their pants trying to create this medley because you just came off a tour. You know how to play every single one of these songs note for note, back to back, where you don't even have to think about what your next transition is. Now it's got to go from Fat Lip into Pieces or however you're going to do that. And your brain isn't wired for that just yet. So I'm guessing you had a lot of rehearsal time and probably a lot more to come this week in Vancouver.
We just did rehearsal last weekend in LA, and we kind of had an idea what we were going to do. But once you get in the room together, stuff changes and stuff. But it wasn't, to be honest with you, it wasn't that long of a rehearsal, and it wasn't that difficult for some reason. So yeah, I don't know. I believe the Junos have maybe heard what we're going to do, but we fly in this week, and then we have to show them. I think we have to like go and rehearse it, and things might change again. You never know. But I think it's hopefully going to be concrete because we like it, and I think our fans. I just want it to be good. I want our fans to be happy with it because it's the last performance, and that's it.
There's another thing to point out that you are up for Rock Artist of the Year, Rock Group of the Year. Unofficially, I can say this to you without having any knowledge. You are going to win. So that's good news. So it's going to be a busy weekend for you. I appreciate you taking the time. You are still doing a show right now on 94.5 The Rock, a punk rock show, Sunday nights at 7:00. And are you just designing the whole thing top to bottom?
So it's 94.9 The Rock, Sundays, 7 p.m. And basically the idea was for it to be like one of those 90s type shows, like specialty shows. And I curate the songs every week. So I pick the songs. I mean, I do play a lot of punk. I do play a lot of metal and garage rock stuff, basically that's not on the radio every day, commercial radio. I could play whatever. I could play country. I could play jazz. They don't care what I play. And I normally have a guest on every week. It's really fun. And I also do it on Adobe Radio, which is like internet radio. It's adobe.com, and that's on Mondays. So what I do is that show is basically a podcast, and I just play the whole conversation with my guest. The Sunday Night on the Rock is like a little bit of the conversation and about 10 to 12 songs through the hour.
Cone's Cave, there's 2 locations in which you can hear it on the Rock, and you can hear it online, and then go check out Cone, whether it's in the live or watch the Junos this weekend, and we'll see you up on stage.
Thank you for having me.
Next time you're in town, stop by the Shed of Dreams. We can hang out and do it again.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it in person next time.
Now forget everything that you thought you knew from the shed.